Now, a group of charities are bringing second-hand clothing to one of London's most exclusive shopping locations. The Charity Supermarket is temporarily taking over the former handbag and accessories section of the Fenwick department store on NewBond Street. The flagship, of course, of the famous department store closed for the last time last weekend after being there for more than 130 years. Let's talk to the designer Wayne Hemingway of Hemingway Design, who's co-founder of the Charity Supermarket and is the brains behind this idea. Wayne, good morning.
Morning.
I mean, the most unusual thing here is the idea of a charity shop on New Bond Street in London.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago we trialled this in Brent Cross, and we had 4 weeks to get the idea together. And the idea is to get, a lot of people feel that charity shops are, bangos the neighbourhood. It's a sign of decline. And myself and the other co-founder, Maria Chenoweth, who's the CEO of a charity called Trade, we knew it was the opposite, that actually everything's good about charity shops. And number one, there's obviously the sustainability angle of it. And then there's every pound you spend is a good pound, whether it's going to end of life, picking up all the things that society doesn't do that well, end of life care, mental health, nursing hours, all of that kind of stuff, as we know. But the thing is that increasingly the shoppers there, we knew were the kind of demographics that any business would want, millennials, Gen Zs. They're the first generation to grow up thinking about climate change. Not only that, they're thinking about purpose, and also they need to be thrifty because first generation not to be better off than their parents. And yet there'd never been charity shops in primary locations. So we got the generosity of a landlord called Hammerson, who said, right, we've got an old empty top shop in Brent Cross, and we cobbled together 10 charities, and the aim was to take 40 grand in 4 weeks, and we took £375,000. And over the year now we've been doing these, we've raised 1.7 million for charity, and then we had the generosity of Fenwick's contact us. They'll still have their other 8 stores open around the UK. And we thought, a year on, to be opening in Bond Street, this is a world first, we think. We don't think there's ever been charity shops on one of the world's top 10 streets. And for me, it shows like the world is going in the right direction.
But we should be clear, this is a temporary charity shop, is it?
We won't shop on Oxford Street. All those landlords with those empty shops, we will take a permanent shop on Oxford Street.
Okay, now you've gone through some of the many ways that charity shops are good. I don't think I'm going to challenge you on that. Charity shops are no doubt good, and they give cheaper options potentially and a longer life to clothing. But are they as good as they were? Because I was talking about this on the platform X yesterday, and some people were concerned that perhaps they're quite full of fast fashion now, which is not the kind of long-term garments that you can buy in a charity shop and then wear for 5 years, like I did with a really, really ugly purple coat when I was a student.
Well, it's a really difficult thing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the better charity retailers and the ones that we've got in there, Havens Hospice, Shelter, Age UK, Trade, they're filtering out the fast fashion, but often that fast fashion comes into the charities in such a state that it can't be used anyway. But what we have to, in our small way, with Charity Supermarket, the aim is to end fast fashion. Fast fashion is an awful thing, and I know that most charities would not want to be selling it. But the fact is, it's there. The public are to blame as well. Remember about buying this. You do have a choice. You don't have to buy fast fashion. You could buy if fast fashion is there for you because you haven't got much money, then buy second hand. Simple as that. If fast fashion is there because you want change quickly, do the same, buy second hand. It's up to some people not fast fashion.
Do you think some people might feel a little bit lectured on this? A lot of people know that fast fashion is potentially problematic.
Yes, well, if people feel they're being lectured, then maybe they should be. When you look at the scale of the damage that is done, it's the second biggest polluter in the world is the fashion industry. We've got to do something about it.
Okay.
As I say, we're scratching the surface with what we do, but there's a lot more needs to be done with fast fashion.
And that is a whole. And fascinating.
Now we're on to ultra fast fashion. And we're gone past fast fashion.
It's a very important discussion, isn't it? But I'm quite interested in the business models of charity shops, particularly when you've got competition now from sites like Vinted, Depop. Is there a risk that they're taking the best stock from charity shops, but also taking a lot of your potential customers?
Well, I think the more people who are wearing secondhand, the better. So I absolutely welcome eBay, Vinted, and Depop. But the scale of those is tiny when you compare it to charity shops. There are 11,200 charity shops in the UK. It's 4% of the shops on the high street. It takes the same amount of money and employs the same amount of staff as the whole of the fashion industry in the UK does the charity industry. And remember that a lot of people are buying things from charity shops and selling them on Vinted, eBay, and the like. And that's fantastic because the charities are making money, and those people who are doing it have got their side hustle. That's why the government have brought in that. One of the main reasons is the side hustle that's going on from people buying from charity, selling it on to supplement their income. All of these is rolled up into the modern life of trying to get through. And if charity shops, as well as doing all their good, help people to get through by then selling on eBay and Vinted, then brilliant.
Wayne, we're getting a lot of messages, and I just want to put a few to you. One from Ian, which you don't need to respond to. It's just enjoyable. He says, I found an old sandwich in a charity shop jacket. It wasn't quite out of date. Ian, are you sure that was actually... I'm not convinced it was for sale. It might have been somebody working there as a lunch. But we've also had a message from someone who doesn't give their name, who says, regarding charity shops, what can be a bit annoying is some of them price many of the goods on offer far higher than they should be, I believe, particularly when you see items they receive for free and then price it close to what a new similar item would cost elsewhere.
Well, can I respond on that?
I do.
Yeah, number one, Charity Super.Mkt brings all the charities together, so it makes it easy, and that's what people love. It's enormous in terms of the choice. But number two, what would be wrong philosophically, for society, if a charity shop sold something at the same price as it was new? If that money was going to help end of life care, if it was going to help cancer research, everybody is touched by death at some stage. We're human beings. Most people's families are touched by cancer. If there's a way of you spending money and helping that, surely there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, it's a fallacy. So the philosophy is fine, but the actual reality is a fallacy, really, because when you look at the average price of second-hand compared to new in charity, you're looking at around about 30 to 40%.
Wayne, we're going to have to leave it there. It's good to have the big philosophical discussions on Wake Up to Money so early. Designer Wayne Hemingway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, of course, to everyone who's been with us throughout the show. We've had Fraser Smeaton, co-founder, chief executive of Morph